right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Transforming the Truth. I am sitting down with one of my longtime friends, Rayen.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Thank you for sitting down with me. I really appreciate it. You are actually the first non-black, and I say that with quotes because I've had an interview or two before where I thought the individual was from black heritage and I was wrong, and we had to go through that. So that was quite interesting. I enjoyed those interviews. But now we're getting to other minorities.
Nice.
But with that being said, I've known you for a really long time, but I'm going to ask some questions because a lot of people don't know the answer to these, and I know you have a different outlook than a lot of people. So let's start with, how old are you?
I am 38 years old.
I am. Yeah.
I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there.
Okay, now, I know this is kind of a not like a loaded question, but it's got a double answer.
Questions.
But where were you born and raised?
I was born in the Philippines, in Cebu City, so southern part of the Philippines. I was there since I was 2. Then I moved to the States. So I was 2 years old, so I was a baby when I came to the United States.
Okay, so you were 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't remember anything about being in the Philippines. I thought you, because I thought you were older.
Some memories come, like this scar, for example. You can't see it. We used to sharpen things with rocks back in the day because, you know, we cavemen. I was a little baby, and I stuck my hand in between, and I got the scar.
Okay.
I remember that and a few other, like, scattered memories, but they're all good ones, though. Okay. That's because my mom told me that story, and I'm like, oh, I remember that.
Oh. Okay, so obviously you came from the Philippines, so you were born in the Philippines, but what is your heritage? Are you solely Filipino, or?
I am Filipino, but I did a 23andMe thing. Don't judge me on that. And I found out I'm 48% Samoan.
Okay.
So,
but aside from the 23andMe thing, like when you talk about being Filipino, like what does that consist of? Or is that now, or at least these days, just I'm Filipino?
Yeah, back in the day, it was like, you know, a lot of people thought we were, you know, darker Spanish people, if you want to say that. So yeah, I was mistaken for, growing up, I was mistaken for a Hispanic person. Oh, you're Mexican. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Okay.
I don't even, nowhere did I ever look Hispanic compared to other people that were Hispanic growing up. So, you know, I was a non-Filipino, and then it was mistaken. And then back when I was younger, people would say I'm Asian, and that made me mad. I was like very mad when people call me, no, I'm Filipino. So now we're Filipino. Now it's like more easier to kind of like tell us apart from other races, you know.
So that's kind of something that I actually did want to touch on. So I noticed that when you say I'm Asian, a lot of people are like, well, Filipino's not Asian, or I'm not too keen on this, but I know there's other Asian cultures that we consider Asian, at least from our perspective as like solely Americans, or, you know, born and raised in the United States, that don't have those type of backgrounds. So is there like a divide, or did they try to create like a divide for, oh, well, Filipinos aren't Asian, or, you know, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
there was, growing up, there was always a divide. People were just telling us, like, you know, we're Filipinos, or we're this. People were very, whatever they were, that's what they were back in the days. Now I think it's a little more different. It's a little more forgiving in a way, because, you know, but a lot of people are more, I don't know, it's like, it's tough, because some people are cool with it, and then some people are just like, no, they'll fight you. Like, they'll argue with you about your own heritage, and it's weird.
Right.
I've had people, you know what I mean? And then I found out that have Samoan, I have someone on my side. That makes me happy too, because then I could justify this color.
You're darker.
I'm darker, yeah, very darker skin tone.
So before we get into that, because that was another one of my my questions, but it's like, so if you were Asian, it wasn't I'm Asian, it's I'm Japanese, or I'm Chinese, or I'm Korean, or I'm Filipino. Yeah. So all of those were. So did you ever notice that there was like a divide between that instead of everybody just coming together to say, hey, like, we're Asian,
Yeah.
and we all kind of, like, have to stick together, so to speak?
Yeah, only when like shit hit the fan. That's when that's everyone like kind of like united.
Right.
But then when all that wasn't happening, there was incidents here and there, but we were like, I'm Filipino. But like whenever it says I'm Asian, I think it's more acceptable now. I think 'cause, you know, with all the crap that's going on,
Right.
people band together a little more quicker. They don't debate. They're not going to think about it. Like, oh yeah, you know what? We have a common ancestry,
Right.
and they're like, you know what? I have his back. You know,
Right.
and that's what I like seeing. But there's still a lot of divide in some cultures as well. Very old school people.
I was going to
Yeah.
say, is it, like, older
Yeah.
generations who are like, no, like, this is...
Yeah, but the younger generations now, and the ones like us, the '80s growing '90s kids in the 2000s, it's more acceptable. Like, okay, we're Asian no matter what you are.
Yeah, like,
And
even if
yeah.
I am Japanese and you're Chinese, like, we
Yeah.
are both still of Asian
Yeah,
culture.
and even
Asian
though,
descent.
and then we also found out also Filipino, we're not really Pacific Islanders. We're only on the Pacific side, but we're not really an islander. That belongs to Guam, Samoan, Hawaiian. Those are islanders.
Well,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
technically are. In general...
Yeah, yeah. In the eyes of everybody else, I'm Filipino. I'm not a islander per se.
Right.
But you know, I got island feet. It works.
I wasn't going to say
No, I got it.
but-
I got monkey feet. I'm proud of them.
So, obviously, everybody can see that you have a darker complexion.
Yes.
I know you've been outside a lot lately, and I know that probably that complexion comes faster and whatnot, but has your skin tone always been darker?
No.
No?
No, I think as I got older, like I see older pictures of me, and I'm like, there's like this lighter brownish, like cinnamonish color, kind of like this down here. If you
Oh,
see
the
how light I am, in my,
underside? Yeah.
kind of like that my whole body, but speckles of like dark area. And now that I've been outside more often, it's evening out. Only the things that are
Now everything's dark.
I wear shorts, dark.
Okay.
Legs dark, arms dark, face dark. It's just, you know. And even this too, even I've got this to a 0 where it's like skin, it's same color. I'm thinking it'd be like a little tad lighter, but no, it's dark as hell.
Well, your hair's always shaved, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that you were labeled as like Hispanic, or later on you were labeled as Asian. So were those only the things that people labeled you as, or were there other things like, because I know when you're either not black or you're not white or you're not of like yellow undertones to be directly Asian, people tend to not know what to say or what to call this person or label this person, because we tend to label people so that it's easier to find them or identify them. I mean, there's a whole slew of psychological and research reasons I won't even get into. But were those, like, as you got older, like, where were the labels? Because you said, like, Hispanic and Asian, and, like, did those change, or?
It stayed around, let's say, middle school, coming over here, because I lived in LA before I moved to the Valley. So I was Hispanic, because I was basically Hispanic, Black, Asian neighborhood. So when I go to school, people see me first impression, I'm Hispanic. I'm like, no, I'm Filipino.
Right.
And a lot of people are like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, you figure it out. I just, you know, I
figure it
you
out.
figure it out. But then as I got older, when I got to 6th grade here, I said I'm Filipino. Like, oh, okay, cool. But then like, he's Asian. I'm like, no, I'm not Asian. I'm Filipino. So I would fight that growing up.
Now, did that ever come, like, what made you say, I'm Filipino, I'm not Asian? Like, was that coming from your parents, or was that just,
I think
you were just proud that,
yeah.
like, I know I'm from the Philippines and I know I'm Filipino?
Yeah, it was more a pride thing.
Yeah.
It was more a pride thing. They was like, no, I'm Filipino. I'm not Asian. Because I had that stigma of like, oh, I'm not, you know, Chinese, I'm not Japanese, I'm not light skinned. I was there, I was ignorant. I was calling, no, I'm not light skinned, I'm dark skinned.
Right.
You know, so that's where that came from for me growing up.
So when you go and you fill out paperwork and you have these boxes in front of you, sorry, I know what I pick because it's white. Like, what else am I going to pick? But for you, They don't have, hey, I'm Filipino.
They have Pacific Islander, which I click Pacific Islander.
So you do end up.
Till a certain point, then I started marking Asian. I changed it to.
Well, yeah.
Even though Pacific Islander is still there, I mark it as Asian.
So I've never quite noticed. Pacific Islander is a separate box.
From Asian.
From Asian?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you guys know your history, but that's because there's a mix of Spanish in there with the Asian.
Yeah,
so they just decided, well, since this is a mix, we're going to separate this Pacific Islander box from this overall Asian box.
Yeah.
What don't understand is if you've seen some of my previous interviews, I don't understand how they can have that as its own separate mixed race, but then if I'm mixed with black and white, I don't have a mixed race box? Like, how does this work?
It's kind of fucked up with the other boxes.
I know. And it's like, okay, but then they don't ask you to explain what other means. Like, you just check other, and it's like
this big of a line.
What are you supposed to do? Abbreviate everything? Yeah. Anyways, okay. So that shit pisses me off, even though it doesn't even apply to me. So, what, I know you were young, but what was the hardest part about coming here from the Philippines? Like, whether it was when you were younger, whether it's just in general, like, what do you remember about it being, like, what was the hardest part?
For me, in the beginning, it was more making friends, really. Because, you know, when you come in, what I had a safety net because the neighborhood I moved in was predominantly Hispanic, Filipino, and black. Mm-hmm. So all the kids mixed with each other. So no one knew color back then. So they're like, oh, you're a kid. We have the same energy. Let's go fuck around.
Right.
So everyone was friends with that. Yeah.
You want to play basketball too? Let's go.
You want to play tag? Let's go play tag. Everyone was friends with everybody.
Right.
So that was kind of easy. But then transitioning to a preteen to a teen coming here, that's when that's
to
like
the valley.
Fuck everything else.
When
you know,
you have all these
everyone
white fucks.
sucks and labels start happening and then people kick it with other. You know, I'm gonna kick it with this group, but I can't kick it with you because you don't look like you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
why
kind of the same thing. It's like the same shit that happens in high school.
Yeah.
Like, you play sports. I don't play sports. We
can't be friends.
Get along in class, but we can't.
I can't. You can't be seen.
Yeah. So
that's how it was. That's how it was for middle school and high school. Well, one more middle school than it was for high school.
Right.
That I was in the sports, so just like that kind of like when you played any type of sport, even if you're not even on the team, you just play every day.
Right.
You just became instant pop. You know, everyone knew you.
Right.
Oh, he plays ball, right? So no one really saw color until they got to know me. They're like, oh, and it's a whole, and then that's when stigmas come out of like, oh, you're nah.
Right.
So kind
because people, it's funny because people don't realize that people think that when you're not comfortable or when you're not known or whatever, you are at your most racist or you're stigmatizing people or using the stereotypes, which is actually, I mean, if people haven't noticed in the last year or two, even 5 years, that actually it's when people get comfortable because there's somebody leading them to let them know that you can say what it is that you think isn't acceptable to say. But if there's a reason it's not acceptable to say, you shouldn't be fucking saying it. But anyways, so do you have any specific memories involving like you being treated differently because of your skin tone or your race, like as a child or like growing up?
More in my high school and like older days. As a kid, my childhood with people, fantastic. No issues, no nothing, because no one cared.
Right.
But then growing up and then people just like making you feel like an outsider, I hated that. That's why I tried hard to jump to every group and get to know somebody or some few people in that group to know like, oh, that person's cool even though he's not us.
Right.
So I did that just to not feel so outside. But then I realized being an outsider wasn't that bad. It had its advantages and perks, you know. But, you know, I always wanted to fit in. But no, did I have anything really that really, like, stuck out? No, other than, you know, racist slurs thrown at me.
Right.
And then being called, you know, another slur that's not me. Like, you're a chink. I'm not Chinese.
Yeah.
You know?
So do you think that, have you had more stuff happen recently than you have like in the past? Because I feel like the stuff that I've heard from you, it just seems like over the last couple years, there's been more recently than.
To me personally, no. I've heard from a few friends that was in that situation where you recall things where I stepped in a few times. I'm like, you know, hey, and I wasn't even mean to be. I was like, hey, you need to chill out. You know, whatever. You know that you're entitled to your opinion. Cool. Say what you're saying and leave. And no, they want to be dicks. And then it never went into like a whole physical altercation or anything like that. But it's just like, really, like you are so bored or you're so like weak in your life that you want to make somebody else feel inferior so you can feel special. I'm like, get out of here with that shit. See, when I throw shit like that at them, it shuts them up really quick.
Yeah.
When you throw like intelligent things and not try to fight back stupidity with stupidity,
Right.
and you a little higher than them, they're like, and then they say more dumb stuff. Right. So I love being sarcastic. I love being like witty to make them feel stupider, and then they just leave because they have nothing to fight with. They're no armor.
Right.
Yeah, but me personally, no. I've had looks. I've had the looks.
Right.
You know,
I've had all the looks.
I can't tell what he is. You know, I'm just. But me personally, no. And if that day ever happens, you can leave me on. You can see me on TV. Channel 7 News.
So,
9, 10, and 11.
9, 10, and 11.
All the news channels.
5, 6, 9, 10, 11.
I'll post it.
So, they can't see them, but you have tattoos.
Yes.
So, have your tattoos mixed with your skin tone or your race ever gotten you into trouble and labeled as something that you weren't?
Yeah. This one. A lot of people like this. It's Cantonese writing. I know what it is. I know what it says.
I know what it says.
I know what it says. I just like the writing style of it. That's why, and it means a lot to me. But a lot of people think you're not Chinese. I'm like, well, I like the writing. I like the culture. You know what I mean? I have 2 other on my back as well, but it's just I like the culture. I like the writing style. So, like I said, I'm not trying to adopt somebody else's race. I just like the way it looks. Yes, I have a flag over here on my side, a Filipino flag. So, you know. But no, this one, I saw a story. I actually want to do a social experiment on it. One guy at, I think, what beach did he go? Huntington Beach?
Probably.
In California. Cops kicked that Filipino guy because he needed to cover your Filipino flag tattoo.
Why?
They were going to kick him off the beach because his tattoo was showing.
I'm confused, but okay.
I was like, what? What? Cops can't do that to kick somebody off a beach because his flag is showing on his arm.
That's nuts.
And yeah, that was like a few months ago, but I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go, because I heard Huntington Beach is a little.
Oh, you mean White's Beach?
Yeah, you know, Donald Trumpville. Oh, and then I saw another article.
Anything Orange County or close. Yeah, like, let's be real here.
And I also some guy did another social experiment where he was trying to the restaurant didn't mandate mask. They didn't care about you if you wear a mask or not. So the guy was pretending to be like, yeah, I'm with you guys. You know, I hate wearing masks too. He put on his mask and he ripped it off his face. He told him to get out.
What the hell?
It happened to 2 other couples too. They wore a mask coming in. You can't come in here. They're like, why not? You're wearing a mask. You can't come. Yeah, they're kicking people out with a mask on.
Yeah, and stuff like that is nuts. Well, okay, so your overall look and demeanor is to people who are racist and stereotypical, it's thuggish, for lack of better terms.
You're not lying.
You've been labeled also like you were a thug. I'm
bald-headed and big. Yeah, what else?
And you were, I think I remember something where they thought you were a gang member?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because of the tattoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to jail for a little bit. Over the weekend thing, no big deal. I get out.
Just field trip.
I know, just a little field trip to see how it feels.
Anyways.
And I didn't like it. No, anyway. So I got out and then the guy told me, he took a picture of all my tattoos, like, oh man, just so you know, you're in our gang book. I'm like, wait, what? On what tattoo? On my tattoos? Yeah, that one. I'm like, this one? It's a dragon. Oh, first one. Seriously? And I was like, yeah. So I get out of jail. I go to their gang unit in Van Nuys. And I'm like, hey man, I hear I'm in your gang books. He's like, yeah, what's your name? I told him my name, and it was like, no, you're not in our name. I was like, well, I showed him this tattoo. Come look at our tattoo book. Do you have like a gang? Do you have a file?
Nuts.
Yeah, and I'm looking like, yep, I'm like, well, that's not me, and that's not my name. This guy downstairs told me, your gang
I want to
affiliate.
make sure
Yeah.
I can take myself out of this gang
Yeah.
book.
And he goes, oh, you know what? That is not you. Because I showed him my ID. That's not me, dude. We just have the same tattoo.
Right.
But his symbol on the head was different than mine.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, we'll cut
We'll
you out
take
of it.
that
Yeah,
out.
take it. So which they did. And I'm like, not have I ever been. I know people in gangs. When I was growing up, I was in association at best, never in one. Oh my God, I'm burping. Sorry,
That's
too
okay.
much beer. But yeah, I knew gang members. They were cool with me. You know what I mean? I was cool with them, but never was I in one. And the fact that this tattoo landed me in the gang book was
Well,
crazy.
I will say a gang member wouldn't go to the unit and be like, I'm not a gang member,
Yeah.
take me out of this book. They'd be like, I don't fucking care. So
Yeah.
I think they pretty much put all those pieces together and were like,
Yeah.
just take this man out of here. He is not going anywhere unless we take him out.
Like, this guy's a fraction in his car. This would have done a crime in his life. That you know of. No,
Small
I'm sorry.
crimes. I was in jail for a weekend. Small
Yeah,
crimes.
small crimes.
So how does a Filipino household differ from the average American household?
Take your shoes off automatically.
When it comes to like family life and how long you stay and who does what.
Ain't nobody leave. It's tight. When it comes to like Filipino or Hispanic household, where I see, we stay until we own the house, or parents retire and give us the house. Things like that. You know, they never want our kids far away, even though if they're in their 30s, 40s, whatever age. You know, I'm still alone. Well, he's in the home because under the pandemic. You know, I didn't want to get my parents sick, and I want to make sure they're okay. So
Yeah.
you stay home. And no reason for me, because down the road, the house we're in, I'm eventually going to own. So no point in me trying to find another freaking spot, save some money.
Okay, so what happens if you get married?
Oh, they moving in the house. I got a house, girl. We ready to go.
So you get married, you have the babies, and everybody's in the house.
Yeah, everybody in the house.
Okay, I mean,
Because for my mom, she's going to retire back to the Philippines. She's ready, good to go. That house is set, bam, waiting. Got people ready living in it, keeping it maintained. She's good to go when she's ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my brother are well off. You know, that's the goal.
Right.
I don't know about my brother, though. That's another story. But yeah, no, he'll be in the house doing nothing. Anyway. But yeah, if welcome home.
I'm just, because I don't know. Growing up, was there ever conversations that your parents had to have with you or felt the need to have with you because of your race and now being in the United States?
Oh, man, nothing.
No?
Filipino parents, old school, don't say shit to their kids.
They just let it float in the air?
Figure it out.
Really?
I figured out a lot of life lessons on my own or through other people. There was, other than like, go to school, study, become a doctor, all the original,
All
Philippi-
your
yeah.
aunties are nurses.
Your cousins are nurses. No,
Right.
all that. But life lessons, I got some, from my father and my mother, but very rarely. Everything else, because I was out all the time, so I learned from other people, about drugs, sex, violence, a bunch of different stuff,
Mm-hmm.
Did I learn all the good stuff? No. I had to learn all the good stuff on my own. Like, I got to be careful what I do. I can't just run amok.
Right.
It's a wrap for me. But no, when I got older, then yes, that's when became a little bit more open, and parents would talk to me. We would have sit downs and then really get into what's going on, especially with me in school, because I hated school. I really hate school.
Right.
With a passion, and then it's just finish it and then do whatever you want after. It's like I want to work already. I'm done with school.
Right.
But my parents like, you just finish it and then you can go into work wherever you want. I'm like, all right, cool.
Right.
So I did that at the most.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else other than save money. Didn't learn that too well. I blew money
love the
like a
honesty.
pimp.
I love the honesty.
get my first check, half of it's gone already.
Well,
All
now half
dumb
of it's
shit.
gone, so you can pay for the stuff at the house.
True, yeah. That's where
Yeah.
most of it's going to my bills and part of the house bills and everything like that. But, I got to keep, some for me for some funds and some shit.
For some funds.
Yeah, for some fun
Funsies.
Yeah. And then, saving up for LASIK. I want to get, I want my eyes to be better. I don't wear glasses no more. Other than that, that's on my, cause thanks to you, I did make a little bit of a small vision board on my wall. So I'm like checking things off.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, get LASIK, save money, you dumb bitch. I say mean things on my vision board.
Just wakes up saying mean stuff to himself.
You're like, you goddamn right, vision board. I will save money.
So we all know that growing up or going to school, a lot of Black or Hispanic or Asian individuals and other minorities didn't see history or things about themselves. So did you, because in speaking to you, I know you know like a little bit here and there or whatever. So did you learn about your Filipino history and your heritage and all that like growing up at home?
Yeah, I did. Because I asked my mom and dad lots of questions about where I'm from, like, what their families, and I saw a lot of old pictures that made me like, it made me more proud. It's like, oh, my dad was in the military, his father was in the military, so I saw a lot of old military pictures and their service stuff. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And then my mom's parents were like nurses and everything like that. It's like, wow, that's really cool. And just seeing that made me like, okay, I get it. But like, that's them. I was like, but I didn't want, the military life or the nurse
Right.
life. So I told him like, that's cool, but I don't want to go there. That's not me. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'm in, we're in America, land of opportunity. I can do anything I want. And I want to do other things. I don't want to be limited to those two things.
Right.
That's why when you're an Asian, Filipino, whatever Asian kid, you rebel. You do something that's not, unless you really like it, like nursing, you do you.
Like do blonde
But
tips
yeah.
like you did?
Yeah.
I'm
Hey, that
sorry.
was fire in high school, all right? I was a pimp. I had to thank. No, anyway. But no, just I got into music. I enjoyed music. I did that. I like sports. I'm like, oh, you always had, I'm going to be the first Asian in the NBA. Nah, that never happened. Well, and then, music was a thing. I loved music, but I didn't know how to get into it. Just like, I know a lot of people like can rap, can flow. I had none of that. I can do none of that
do
shit.
any of that.
I can write, but I can't like flow. I can't flow right. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I wrote when I was younger. I did poetry. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Sorry. I wrote poetry, and I was really good at it. And some of it didn't rhyme because I didn't want it to rhyme because that's hard. Because I get blocked. I'm like, if I can't rhyme this word, I'm done.
Yeah.
So I just wrote that sounded good to me. So I need to get back into that. So
You modeled a lot of your stuff out of the fact that you came to America and you're like, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do.
pretty much. I'm gonna live the life. I want to see if I can make it.
Do you think that you have been able to do whatever you wanted to do? Or do you think that there has been some roadblocks maybe because of your race or anything else that has come up?
No, not more my race. It's more me, my personality, my attitude. That's where it is.
Is your attitude typical of a Filipino attitude?
Hell no.
You think they're
A very
more,
Americanized Filipino, yes.
I was gonna say, are they more
So- yeah.
well-mannered?
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, very polite.
Well,
Very-
not that you're not polite,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But more polite than me. Let's just say that.
a little less rambunctious, if you will.
You know what I mean? Because like I say, I just growing up in the late, in the 80s and into the 90s, we got into, me and my brother at the time got into like really hardcore gangster rap. So, we just, learned all the Pacs and the Biggies. You heard the thing, we see the life, because we're basically Normandy and Western. That's where I lived, Normandy and Western in LA. So you saw some stuff. So you saw the hood.
We saw some shit.
Yeah, saw some shit. So, I was like, damn, I don't want to live that life. I like hearing about it and like hearing from friends and whatnot, but it's like, that's not me, because I don't want to die. Number one, because at the end of this gang song, you're dead,
Right.
pretty much. You die somewhere. You live and die in LA.
Did
Bye.
your parents ever tell you, no, cut that shit out?
No. They did as a kid because like The reason why I don't like hot stuff, because when you're a Filipino kid,
I
if you
forgot.
said bad words, they put Tabasco on your tongue. And that irritated me. So I never like hot stuff. That's the main reason why I don't do hot.
Ray's got a baby mouth.
I do, because of that. That's very annoying. You can't put Tabasco because I'm not going to enjoy the food. But yeah, when my mom would, I say bad words, she would Tabasco. That never stopped me. It didn't stop me
It
at all.
didn't stop you
It didn't
at
stop me
all?
No. I just didn't
So
cuss.
he's just
I
over here
didn't-
drinking
I just-
Tabasco.
No, I just didn't cuss in front of her.
Oh, well, I mean, that's most kids, though. I'm
Yeah.
sure, you know.
You know, but then when you got older and you did learn how to talk back, that's when the whooping happened, and that shit hurt. I think, in my personal, spanking is effective, done right.
This is 2 episodes in a row.
Serious. It works. It works.
Okay, so it's you and your brother.
Yeah.
Did your mom, was she ever like, oh, those are my sons. You can't have girlfriends?
No, not really. It's in private. They would tell you in private.
Right.
Yeah. But, you know, it's more my dad would say it in private. My mom would, like, say it privately to me, but she would be around the room just enough so she can hear it. Yeah, she was like that. There was a lot of girls that in my life that my mom, I would say 60-40. She hated 60% of them and like 40% of them. Oh, man.
Did she want you to be with a Filipino girl?
No, that's because my parents, they didn't care about the race I was. My mom would say, as long as you are happy. That's all she
Right.
cared. As long as you're happy, I don't care what race she is, as long as she makes you happy.
I feel like that's a cop-out. Not for your parents specifically, like just sometimes in general. Like, because then, like, what if your kid comes home with, like, a shitty human being? Like, what are you supposed to say? Get rid of that fucker? Like,
Get the fuck out. Yeah. You made a bad choice, son. Get her out. Yeah. Yeah, she ain't the best. Get out. Because I dated the rainbow.
yeah.
I tasted the rainbow. No, I'm sorry.
Oh my god. Man, this is
Double
Rayen,
entendre. I love it.
ladies and gentlemen. So what is something you wish people knew about being Asian or being Filipino, or something you don't think a lot of people know, or you just, something you want to reiterate?
And, well, me personally, I'm very, I would say I'm very, like, loyal. Like, when I become friends with anybody, any I just met, I can meet anybody in the world and just be, like, regular guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. No, especially when it comes to women, there's no intention behind me just saying hi. No, I'm serious.
I'm kidding.
When it comes to, you know, most Filipino men, they're just like, we just want to say hi, nice to meet you, what are you up to? If you don't feel us, we're out. But there's some guys that just don't know when to get that, you know what I mean? But no, my intention has never been like, now, just like, how you doing? I'm Ray, what's up? You know, just most men,
They're just
older,
saying,
yeah.
like, there's no
Yeah,
ulterior motive
yeah.
between.
Yeah, I'm not trying to pick you up and take you back home, no. If it happens to be that way, that's what happens. But that's not my goal. That is not my goal.